It's time for the Glendale Devotional Podcast, a 5-minute weekday devotional ministry from Glendale Baptist Church in Glen, Mississippi. The speaker is John Haynes. Now, here is Brother John.
Listen to Exodus chapter 2, verses 1 through 10.
Exodus chapter 3. Now Moses was tending the flock of Jethro his father-in-law, the priest of Midian, and he led the flock to the back of the desert, and came to Horeb, the mountain of God. The angel of the Lord appeared to him in a flame of fire from the midst of a bush. So he looked, and behold, the bush was burning with fire, but the bush was not consumed. Then Moses said, I will now turn aside and see this great sight, why the bush does not burn. So when the Lord saw that he turned aside to look, God called to him from the midst of the bush and said, Moses, Moses. And he said, Here I am. Then he said, Do not draw near this place. Take your sandals off your feet, for the place where you stand is holy ground. Moreover he said, I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And Moses hid his face, for he was afraid to look upon God. And the Lord said, I have surely seen the oppression of my people who are in Egypt, and have heard their cry because of their taskmasters, for I know their sorrows. So I have come down to deliver them out of the hand of the Egyptians, and to bring them up from that land to a good and large land, to a land flowing with milk and honey, to the place of the Canaanites, and the Hittites, and the Amorites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites. Now therefore, behold, the cry of the children of Israel is come to me, and I have also seen the oppression with which the Egyptians oppress them. Come now therefore, and I will send you to Pharaoh, that you may bring my people, the children of Israel, out of Egypt.
Imagine for a moment being so far away from people and distractions. Now this may be difficult as we're constantly bombarded with noise, hectic schedules, and all types of interruptions, but that is exactly where Moses was when God spoke to him. As Moses was tending to his father-in-law's flock, God chose a time when Moses was able to receive a word from him. All of his life, Moses never really felt like he belonged anywhere. For once, he felt as though he had found his calling, tending to the flocks and living a simple life. But you see, God had preserved Moses and raised him up for such a time as this. The Hebrew people needed a deliverer, and Moses was who God had prepared for this very task. No doubt Moses had seen things on fire before, but something was different about this burning bush. It burned, but it was not consumed. Fire is often associated with special displays of God's presence. God sent fire to take the offering that Elijah offered on Mount Carmel in 1 Kings 18. The Hebrew writer said in Hebrews 12:29 that our God is a consuming fire. John the Revelator saw the risen Lord Jesus and wrote that his eyes were like a flame of fire. As Moses looked intently on the burning bush, God called out to him. He then told Moses that Moses was to go to Pharaoh and to lead the children of Israel out of Egypt. So what is your burning bush? What has God been telling you? Recently, my wife and I went to see some patients at the North Mississippi Medical Center at Tupelo. As we were walking out of the hospital, I asked my wife if she'd like to go by a donut shop and get some donuts. Knowing that I was really trying to diet, she wisely said that we didn't need any donuts. Oh man, I sure could go for some donuts though, but she was right. As we got onto the elevator to go to the parking garage, I could just taste those fresh, delicious donuts. As the door to the elevator opened at our parking level, I kid you not, a man was getting onto the elevator with 2 boxes of donuts, and on the side of the box I saw the sentence, "You deserve a donut." Now, as we got off the elevator, I asked my wife, "Did you see that? God is trying to tell us that we should go get some donuts." We both laughed and decided that God was much too busy running creation to try to tell me that I needed a donut. Now, we might misread God speaking to us from time to time, but it is undeniable that God is trying to tell us something today. He may not speak through a burning bush or a box of donuts, but He has given us His word to hear His voice. It was difficult for Moses to accept that he was the one that God had chosen to lead the children of Israel out. But God speaks in such a way that we, His sheep, follow Him because we know His voice. God has made you, saved you, if you're a Christian, preserved you, and guided you for such a time as this. Now, it may take a great deal of faith to follow Him when it's outside of our comfort zone, but know this, God is your Creator, Redeemer, and Sustainer. He will guide you, place you, and use you where He wants. So lift up your head. God makes no mistakes. Now join us tomorrow if you can. Have a good and godly day.